Rise and shine, my people. Welcome back to the channel. This is Evan Aga at the Astrophysique. I'm sure many of you are already aware of who Andrew Tate is and his situation in regards to being arrested and detained for 90 days. Of course, you also know he was recently released and put on house arrest, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. During the time of Andrew Tate's detainment, I received an email from his newsletter, specifically on day 85 of his detainment, which was only a few days before his release. In this email, Andrew Tate talks about his workout routine and how he's been able to keep his mind and his body sharp throughout the previous 3 months. He starts off the email by saying he is up to 1,000 squats per day, 750 push-ups per day, and 20 kilometers of walking per day. He describes the rest of his routine and uses it to prove the point that despite being locked up in Romanian prison, he's been able to continue his journey of self-improvement, and he ends the email by asking the reader, "What have you done throughout the past 3 months to make your life better?" He's in jail in Romania, in a cell, and he's been able to do more for himself than most people out in the real world. I meditated deeply on this message until I finally realized what I had to do to understand what he meant. So I decided to commit to doing 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, and 20 kilometers of walking myself, just so I could understand. Just so I could have somewhat of an idea of not only what he was going through, but also his message to the world. Little did I know what I was signing up for. Andrew described his cell as being 3 by 3 meters, which is just about the same dimensions of my office here at home. Convenient, right? With no yard time, no technology, and basically being on 24-hour-a-day lockdown, I can't imagine the type of thoughts that he must have been having as he was pacing back and forth in his 3-meter cell. I tried to replicate these conditions as much as I could, just so I could have, again, somewhat of an idea of what it must have been like. The reality is most people can't even go 5 minutes without checking their phone or touching some sort of technology. I tried to limit my own use of technology as much as possible. However, I did have things going on throughout the day that required me to be on my phone here and there. That being said, I stayed in my 3-meter home office all day and paced back and forth to imitate his conditions as much as I could. For the squats and the push-ups, I decided to split them up and spread them out throughout the day in sets of 20 each. At one point or another, I was worried I would lose count, and at the same time, I wanted you as the viewer to be able to keep track with me, so I used a whiteboard just to tally up my reps. Each tally represents 20 squats and 20 push-ups. What was surprising to me was actually how much easier the squats and the push-ups got the more that I did. We just hit 500 squats and 500 push-ups. We're at 5 miles, so we're just about halfway through the challenge. And I can say, without a doubt, I'm not tired whatsoever. I'm fired up. Pacing back and forth, you feel like a caged animal. I feel like a wild tiger in a cage, going back and forth, back and forth. Combine that with the squats and the push-ups, I feel ready to go. When you look at it from zero, all you can think about is how daunting this task is. But again, I realized the more that I did, the more that I could do. A lot of people psych themselves out of doing something difficult before even starting because of their perception of their objective. They plant the seed in their minds that something is difficult before they even try. As I was pacing back and forth in my office, I was repeating to myself, "This is easy, this is easy. This is light work. This is easy." And believe it or not, that actually worked. My mentality changed completely, from being anxious about the challenge itself to actually being excited about what I was doing and fired up to continue. I tried to imagine myself in Andrew's situation, being locked up in a cell, and that's when I had one of my biggest realizations throughout the day. This realization was absolutely profound. What I came to understand was, as crazy as this challenge sounds, 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, 20 kilometers walking, which is just under 13 miles, as crazy as all of that sounds, that is actually what would keep me sane in a prison environment. If I was actually locked up, the number one thing that would make me lose my mind would not be doing endless squats and push-ups and pacing. In fact, that would be the single thing that would keep me sane throughout the time. What would actually make me go crazy is sitting around in my cell doing nothing. There's a saying which I think applies perfectly, and it goes, idle hands are the devil's workshop. If you're sitting around not doing anything, that's when doubt finds its way into your mind. That's when anxiety finds its way into your mind. That's when you start to have all of these negative emotions and thoughts that, no matter how strong you think you are, will permeate your mind and find their way into your heart. These thoughts can corrupt even the strongest of men if they're not aware of their situation and actively doing something about it, aka being active. And I want to relate this to a general sense because if you haven't already realized, this applies in the real world and not just to somebody in prison. If you're sitting around all day, every day, doing absolutely nothing with yourself and your life, then I can wholeheartedly guarantee you will be depressed. On the contrary, if you're always busy, if you're always doing something, if you're doing your squats, you're doing your push-ups, you're staying active, then you're simply moving too fast for depression and all of these other negative emotions to find you and catch you. Shoot for the stars. A lot of times we get so caught up in our heads, thinking and overthinking every move and every detail of our lives, that we don't realize action is what breeds creativity. Sometimes you just need to take action, put one foot in front of the other, keep taking the next step, even if you're not 100% sure what the next move is. Just make any move and you'll find out as you go along the way. I'd like to think I'm a mentally strong person, and fortunately I was able to make it through a day of Andrew Tate's prison workout, but to think about being in a cell and doing this routine for 90 days is a completely different story. So hats off to Andrew Tate for keeping up with his fitness and staying mentally strong throughout his time in Romanian prison. How did he do it? I really don't know, but he is the top G for a reason. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Shoot for the stars.